what's up? It's Breyonna. So today we're going to be sitting down and testing out one of the coolest Colourpop collections that I have ever seen, and that is the Lust in Paradise. And oh my gosh, like when I tell you that this collection is so me, like I just literally died when I saw it. But again, it kind of has like this tropical rainforest kind of feel with the packaging. But the color story of the palette is what really drew me into it. I mean, it is so grungy and smoky, and at the same time there's a lot of these really unique and different shimmer shades in here. Like this green right here is really calling to me. So Colourpop did send me the full collection, so not only do we have the eyeshadow palette, but we have the Cheek Dew Serum Blushes. I don't think I've used them here on YouTube, but I really like to use them over on TikTok a lot. We also have 3 of the Lux Glosses. Again, they're very warm toned. And lastly, we have one of my favorite products from Colourpop, and that is the Creme Gel Liner Pencils. And again, I will be doing side-by-side comparison swatches later on in this video if you'd like to see those. But before we jump into it, if you haven't already, make sure you hit the subscribe button down below and also give this video a like. And if you'd like to check me out over on Instagram or TikTok, it's at Breyonna as well. So I just pried my eyes off camera, but as you can tell, I even put like a tropical shirt on to match the vibe of the collection. But today I really want to do kind of like a funky and fresh kind of vibe on the eyes, but at the same time very smoky and kind of like my style. So the first shade I want to go in with is this kind of like reddish shade, and this one's called Nani Noni. It's N-O-N-I. I am so bad at pronouncing things, but I'm just going to be taking this on a smaller little blending brush. This one's from e.l.f., I believe. Yeah. And I'm just going to apply it in the inner half of my crease. Ooh, that applies a lot more orange than I was expecting. Like in the pan, it almost looks kind of like a rusty brownish red. But when applied, it almost has more of like an orange feel to it. It's very cool though. So one thing I really like about this palette is that it just has a very different look to it. And I'm just going to go in with a second layer. Like, I don't know if I've ever seen a color story that looks like this one. I know a lot of people are comparing it to the Raw Beauty Christie palette, which I'll show you guys what it looks like up close here later on in the video. But I don't personally see it. So now we're just going to go in with this deep in teal, and this one's called On the Prowl. And I'm going to be taking it on this brush from Anastasia. It's an 825. I'm just going to be applying this first in my crease in the outer half. Ooh, that is really pigmented. I'm very curious to see how the shade's going to apply and blend out, because a lot of times this kind of shade can give a lot of harsh lines and be very hard to work with. I'm just going to take a little bit more on my brush, and I'm trying to be a little bit careful, so I am not taking like a massive large blending brush. I'm taking like a medium-sized one doing this, just to have a little bit more control with the blending. But so far though, that shade's beautiful. Take a little bit more on my brush. Since this shade is so intense, I think it's a little bit easier if you work in smaller layers, because it's kind of one of those shades I could see overpowering anything that's near it. But man, this shade is just really easy to use. Because again, a lot of times these kinds of greens are so hard to find like a good formula with. And you can see like this one's not looking chunky or funky. Super nice. And I'm again bringing it about halfway, and I am overlapping it on top of the orange. You know, this actually looks really cool. I wasn't sure if I'd like this color next to the orange, but it's a vibe. Now I'm just going to go back in with that brush that we applied Nani with no additional product, and I'm just kissing the edge between that greenish shade and the orange. So now I'm just going to take the tiniest amount of Monsoon on this M507 brush from Morphe. I'm not too sure if this is going to look good or not. I just want to use this shade because I think it looks really pretty in the pan. It's kind of like a royal blue. But I will warn you, this shade is very, very powdery in the pan. You want to be extremely careful. Like you can see, my brush picks up a lot, but it also dusts off a lot too. I'm just going to apply this shade in the area that we applied the dark green. But just in the crease, and then I'm going to slightly pack it on the lid too. Ooh, this shade is... It's like the perfect shade with this green, because at first I couldn't tell if the blue was deeper or the green was deeper because of just like the tones of them. But this is like deepening up the green while also bringing this really cool blue pop to the look. Again, I feel like this is one of the most unique palettes I've seen in a very, very long time. It just has such a cool vibe. Like, Like, it's tropical, it's smoky, it has unique colors. It's so fun. And I'm just gonna do another layer just to slightly build it up. So I just did this half little cut crease moment off camera, and let's fix this kind of like chunky situation on the outer edge. So I'm just gonna take a little bit more of Monsoon on this shader brush from Luna Magic, and I'm just pressing it right on there. Honestly, I'm not bringing this shade really that far in. I'm trying to keep it just on this outer edge. Maybe like the outer third. Because I really want to see how pigmented the shimmers are, and I feel like if I brought the shade too far in, it wouldn't show how the shimmers really look. Does that make sense? Because like the shimmers in here are a little bit on the lighter side, and the shade is pretty dark. I can't wait to use the shimmers because, again, they just look really different in the pan. But the first one I want to go in with is this one right here called Juicy. It's kind of like a teal kind of shade, but it leans a little bit more on the green side. This one doesn't look like it's gonna be like super sparkly compared to the other ones. Like the other ones look like they have a little bit more dimension to them. But I still want to go in with this one because I think it's gonna look really cool next to Monsoon. But I'm just going to be taking it dry on this little shader brush, and I'm putting it kind of in the center of my eye. Yeah, this is more of like a wearable shimmer. It's very pretty though. Super pigmented. I'm just feathering it into Monsoon as well, this outer edge. Seriously, like that is such a cool color. Almost kind of looks like a seafoam green when applied. Okay, now we're going to be going in with a shade that I am the most excited for out of this palette, and that is this green shimmer shade called Palm Palm. And why I like this one though is it's kind of like a yellowy green, but it looks super shimmery and sparkly, like it looks really extra in the pan. It almost looks like a lime green in a way, but it's not. It's like a lime green, but it has like a little bit more yellow to it. Again, this shade is just very different. But I'm going to be taking it again dry on a different shader brush. And applying it to the rest of the lid. Oh yeah, this one's way more sparkly. I wasn't sure if I would like it placed near the orange, but honestly, I think it just really gives it like that tropical feel. I'm just gonna go in with a little bit more. Oh yeah, that's almost like a neon green, limey kind of color, but it's just like a little bit lighter than that. So now I'm just gonna take that brush that we applied Juicy with no additional product, and I'm just gonna kind of like feather it into Palm Palm. Ooh, I am looking like Casper the Ghost right now, and it is not cute. But let's go in with the Cheek Dew Serum Blushes. I do want to swatch them first because I'm not too sure which one I want to go in with. I kind of have an idea, but again, swatches will give us more of an idea. But the first one is Star Fruit. And if you've never used these before, they are fairly liquidy. I'm going to kind of do it like this. Ooh, that's a pretty color. It's a very like wearable, like everyday kind of color. It's kind of like pinky, it's kind of nudie. Again, I'll show you what they look like up close in a second. The next one we have is the brightest one out of the three, and this one's Hibiscus. This is kind of like an orangey, pinky kind of color. Again, I'm just going to apply it kind of like this. And then the last one that we have is Passion Fruit, and this is the deepest one, and also the more like browny kind of colored one. They're very warm toned. And then this is what they look like up close next to each other. Yeah, we're gonna do something a little bit different today, so I'm gonna go in with Hibiscus. And this is the more like orangey, kind of like brighter one. And if you've never used these before, they're actually fairly sheer. I'm just going to apply just a tiny bit on the back of my hand. Again, I did swatches, so I wiped them off, but I'm just going to apply this with my sponge that I used for my complexion products. I'm just going to dip right into it and apply. But these are very, very sheer. Like, they're not a pigmented formula. Actually, this one might be more pigmented than the first launch. I'm going to kind of like tap around my concealer. Let's see. Okay, so after I blended out the edge, I think it looks a lot better. But again, this is a very sheer formula, and they don't really build up. I'll show you what I mean. But I'll do a second layer, kind of here in the middle of my cheek. But you don't get like a full-on like blushy moment with these. These are more of like a wearable kind of looking blush. With these having a liquidy consistency, I like to apply them after doing my concealer and my cream contour. So now let's work on the lower lash line, and I'm first gonna go in with that greenish shade again called On the Prowl, and I'm taking it on this brush from Colourpop. It's an E29. It's just a really small shader brush. And I'm just gonna run it as close as I can to where my lashes grow out on the lower lash line. I'm going about a halfway. And I'm just gonna take a clean blending brush and feather out the edge. Just because it's a dark shade, I'd go in with Eco, but I don't really want like a bright green under here because then it's not going to match like the outer situation on the top. So now I'm just going to go in with that orangey shade. I believe it's called Nani. I know I'm probably saying it wrong. Somebody's be like, girl, you've been saying it wrong the whole video. So I'm already prepared for it. But I'm just going to be taking it though on this pencil brush from Sigma. It's an E30. You see what I mean though? Like the shade's just really pigmented. And let's do the inner corner highlight, and like I would go in with It's Paradise because I like that it has like this greenish gold kind of tinge to it, but the tone of it just looks a little bit too dark for my skin tone, and I want the inner corner to be really bright and really popping since this look is super smoky. So I'm just going to go in with the lighter gold shade, and this one's called Wildlife. And I'm just going to be taking it on this pencil brush from Morphe. This is an M431, and I'm really like pressing it down, and that is pretty. It's definitely a yellowy gold, but it's not super dark either. It's kind of like a brighter yellow kind of gold. It's not like a true gold. Definitely has like that tropical kind of vibe to it though. So let's swatch the Creme Gel Liner Pencils, and I'm just so happy that they launched more with this collection because this is one of my favorite products from Colourpop. They are so good, and just they literally last in my waterline all day, and I have really sensitive eyes, and they're pretty much the only colored liner for a very long time that I was able to wear. But I think I kind of want to go in with this lighter green one, but I do want to swatch them because, again, you know, things can change once they're swatched. So this green lighter one is called Aglow, something like that. Ooh, I love that one. Man, it's pretty. It is a shimmery one too. It's not matte. I was assuming it was matte, but that's my bad. I'll show you what they look like up close here in a second. The next one we have is this yellow, and it almost kind of looks like a mustard in a way. And this one's called Toucan Do It. Like Toucan the bird. Oh, that's so cute. And here is what it looks like. Ooh, that's pretty. Again, this is a shimmery one too. It's not matte, which I'm kind of bummed about because I personally prefer the matte ones. And then the last one that we have is the dark green one, and this one's called Canopy. It's a very unique color. It's kind of like a brighter, like almost grass green in a way. And then this is what they look like up close next to each other, and you can kind of see they have a really pretty sheen to them. The last one though is matte, the darker green. Yeah, I'm gonna go in with a glow. Like this one's just really calling to me. I mean, it just looks so pretty. But let's see what it looks like in the waterline. You see what I mean? Like it just doesn't have a lot of pigment. Like I don't know, like the shimmer ones of these, or I guess they're called metallic version, they just, like they're not that good in the waterline. They're fine by themselves, like around the eye and whatnot, but in the waterline they're just not as good. I don't know, I don't like how it looks. I'm just gonna go in with Exit, their matte white Creme Gel Liner pencil. And I'm gonna put that down first. I didn't wipe down my waterline, I'm just putting this right on top. Again, I have really sensitive eyes, so I'm not too sure if it's like a liner formula or what it is, but like it feels different in the waterline. It almost feels thick. And I'm gonna pop this right on top. Oh yeah, I like that way better. Like the white as a base with this, super punchy. And lastly, let's swatch the Lux Glosses, and I will say these are very bright besides this middle one right here. Like these two brighter ones are like a creme formula, and then the middle one is a shimmer. I'm really leaning towards the shimmery one. But the first one we have is kind of like an orangey red kind of shade, and this one's called Peace Lily. Peace lilies though are white, right? Like that doesn't, the name of this one doesn't fit the flower, I don't think. Unless they're bright. I've always just seen them, you know, just like white. Ooh, that is pigmented. Very pretty though. I don't feel like it would fit the vibe though of the look, but Kind of has like that vanilla, kind of like cake batter kind of scent to it. It's not overwhelming though, it's just like a slight amount of vanilla. If you've ever used the Lux Glosses, it's the exact same scent as those ones. The next one we have is a really bright, almost like neon orange. And this one's called Peace Lily 2. Why are they both Peace Lily? So I guess this first one is Vanda. Oh, mine must be like mismarked because on the back right here it says Peace Lily and then right here it says Vanda. So I'm assuming the first one's Vanda and then now this one is Orchid. That's kind of weird. We don't, it's no big deal. We have a sticker on it anyways. Ooh, it's almost like a nudie kind of color. That actually kind of surprises me because it looks so bright in the tube, but on the back of my hand, it looks very wearable. And then the last one that we have, this one says Peace Lily too, so maybe they're like a Peace Lily like set, and that's why they're that way. Oh, this one's actually named Peace Lily. So they must have accidentally put these in this bottle. You know, it's not a big deal though. I mean, it's just packaging. At least they have the name though sticker here. And this one looks like the one I'm gonna go in with. My kind of style. It's a very kind of like sheer nudie kind of color. A little bit more on the warm tone side. And it's not super sparkly either. It just has like a hint of sheen to it. No, we're just gonna go in with this one because I just love the color of it. And since we have a bright eye look, I don't want to go in with a bright gloss. Yeah, this is very sheer. Like it just has a slight amount of color to it. Honestly, it's a little bit underwhelming. It feels nice though. Like it has like this silky feel to it, but it does feel like a gloss. I'm gonna do another layer. It's almost like sticky. Sometimes I've noticed though with the Lux glosses, if you like rub your lips together, the stickiness goes away. You can kind of see it's doing that like liney thing. Yeah, I don't know how I feel about this one. So I just kind of like tapped off some of the gloss and yeah, I like this way better. I will say I don't see any shimmer when applied. It literally doesn't really have a whole lot of color going on. I must have applied way too much because now it's not doing that liney, goopy kind of thing, so that was my fault. I'm just saying, this is one of my all-time favorite looks I have ever done. Like, it is so smoky and tropical and just really fun. Like, honestly, I'm gonna have a really hard time washing this off tonight. But let's talk about everything that we used, and truthfully, this eyeshadow palette, I could see becoming a holy grail of mine. Like, I am just so blown away with the quality. Because again, like the mattes in here are just so intensely pigmented, they're easy to work with, and they're just really fun too. And also like this deepened teal shade, this is a shade that is very hard to find a good formulation with. A lot of times they are very chunky and hard to work with, they give a lot of harsh lines, and this one just blended out seamlessly and was super beginner friendly in my opinion. And also like this dark blue right here, it is not chunky, it doesn't act like a pressed pigment, and it just looks amazing on the eye. Again, even though these shades are a little bit more on the unique side, if you're a beginner, I don't think you're going to struggle with them at all. Like, they were literally one of those kinds of formulas. You pop it down, do a couple circles, and you're good to go. And the shimmers in here are absolutely beautiful. This first one that we used called Juicy. Now this one's a little bit more of like a wearable kind of shimmer. It's not like super crazy intense, which I feel like a lot of people are gonna really enjoy in this palette. This green shade though, oh my gosh, Palm is where it's at. Like, it is so intense, super metallic and reflective, and also it has like this really cool neon pop to it that just makes it a little bit different. And also this shade that we used for the inner corner highlight called Wildlife. Again, this one has that really intense extra kind of formulation to it too. As for the Cheek Dew Serum Blush, I actually really like these and I really like the color of this too. I will say I don't think this is a product for everybody and that everybody's gonna like it, because if you're not into natural looking blush, you're not gonna like how this one is, because you cannot build this one up. The most you'll get out of it is like a medium pigmentation, but even that is a little bit of a stretch. Like, this is a very natural and soft looking blush. And formula wise, it's kind of like a serum-y kind of consistency. It's super lightweight and liquidy. It's not like thick and goopy. But I will say, if you're a beginner, this is a really foolproof formula because it will not give you any harsh lines, and it is literally that type of product you put on your face. You can just tap it out and it's already blended. Like, it doesn't look like choppy or chunky. It's just a really nice blush. I will warn you too, these do tend to feel a little bit sticky on the face. It's not terribly sticky, it's just if you tap your skin, you can kind of feel like a slight tackiness. I personally don't like that feeling on the skin, so I set them with a translucent loose setting powder. You could also use a other like powder blush, you know, just to get rid of that feel. But otherwise, these are very long wearing for me, and I really like how they look. I personally like to pair them with this foundation from Colourpop, the Tinted Moisturizer, the Pretty Fresh one, because I know sometimes this kind of product doesn't work with all foundations, but it works amazing with this as well as their other foundation. And the foundation I'm talking about is the other Pretty Fresh one, the Hyaluronic Hydrating one. I actually really like both of these foundations, they're some of my faves. As for the Creme Gel Liner Pencil, I don't like it in the waterline. Like, it just doesn't have that oomph that I'm looking for. I do like it though, however, over Exit, I thought it just made it really punchy. But again, by itself, it's just a little bit bland and you can't really see it. But again, like, these swatched really nice, so I can't wait to use these in more looks. I just wish that they were 100% matte. As for the Lux Gloss in Peace Lily, I think it's a really pretty gloss in the tube, but honestly, when applied, I don't really see much of a difference. Like, don't get me wrong, like, I have like that glossy effect on the lips, but it's so sheer, I don't see it, you know, even on top of my lip liner, and also I don't see any sparkles in it either when applied, so, I mean, it's pretty, and it also feels nice on the lips. It's just, it's not like a wow kind of gloss. If I was to get a gloss out of the collection, I'd probably get one of the brighter ones just because these ones have a little bit more of like a wow factor to them. So when it comes down to it, would I recommend these products to you? Honestly, I think everything is really nice and has a really nice formula to it. Again, none of the products today gave me any issues. The only thing I would probably pass on is the gloss just because, you know, there's not a lot of wow factor to it and it just kind of feels like a basic gloss. But other than that, I think everything is totally worth checking out. I will definitely say though, the eyeshadow palette is my favorite. This is so pretty and good and I cannot wait to use this more. Because again, if you're into smoky, kind of like brighter looks like I am and you like wow factor shimmers that just have a lot of pizzazz, you will fall in love with this one. So this is what it looks like up close next to the Raw Beauty Kristi At Forest Sight collaboration palette, and I hope my camera is making them look like they do in person because of the glare. But honestly, besides one of the reddish browns, they are completely different palettes. But yeah, so in the comments down below, let me know what you think about this look, and also let me know if you're going to be checking out this collection or not. But as always though, if you haven't already, make sure you hit the subscribe button down below and also give this video a like. And if you'd like to check me out over on Instagram or TikTok, it's at Breyonna as well. And I'll talk to you guys later.